2. We are live, coming at you with session 78 of our Drowned Gods campaign, and we do not have the Akalupu of Akalupu Notes fame, so we will be skipping past that. So everyone remember to... Doing okay over there, Abe?
Yeah, I just got excited. Don't worry about
it. So everyone remember to reset your hero point pools to 1, and who would like to give the recap of last session for an extra hero point? All right, David, I choose you. Last session started with us redoing them walking down into your forge.
We fixed the fact that I'm probably not forging in full plate, no matter how cool that would have been. After that, they got Morgan's attention fairly easily and told him about their plans to enter the dungeon, at which he assessed their abilities and found it to be a hopeful proposition at very least, and agreed to go along. After that, I think we went over to Mono Inui, finishing up his discussion with Morgan.
Diana?
Yeah, Diana Morgan. And...
you learned some stuff there.
Yeah. It's just right at the tip of my tongue what we learned there, but I'm not going to get it out, so I'm just moving on.
Do you remember any of what you learned, Abe?
I do. We learned that I learned that my people were wanderers, were sea folk.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We also learned that elves are very long-aged. I think she said she was 300.
She refused to answer, but said she was well into the triple digits.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking. 300. She was pretty old. She was a pretty old lady for looking like a pretty young lady.
Exactly.
For not being a pile of dust, she looked pretty good.
From a human perspective, yes, absolutely.
We learned that there was a pirate, not a pirate, my bad, an elven kind of mobile base thing called Tortuga. That sounded pretty dope.
Yeah. Well, she didn't say it was elven. It's not purely elven. She just said it was used used regularly as a get together spot, and that elves do frequently it. But it's not like it's some sort of elven only enclave or anything.
Yeah, just heavily elven influenced.
Yeah.
And let's see. Oh, told me that if I had any questions, I should talk to not Colin.
Corvin
with a V, who's not an elf.
Yep.
Let me see. I'm trying to think. I know she said some more stuff. She said
you asked if you had where elves came from, and she talked a bit about Yggdrasil.
That's right. There's a mythical elven homeland where the world tree Yggdrasil is, and that's and according to elven mythology, that's where they all come from.
Yep.
But she clearly by her tone, she thinks that's a load of hooey. But she implied that there are some people who think it's out there and who actively seek it.
Yeah.
Well, I learned that she was a cabin boy, but not in the way we think of cabin boys.
Yeah, basically like an apprentice officer, apprentice first mate.
Yeah.
It's not just the person that they, put in a closet somewhere who gets all the worst jobs.
Yes. And then let me think what else. I know I said that she'd have to show us the way at some point, or we'd have to take her sometime so she could show us where some elven places are.
Yeah.
And then I think I said I had to catch up with people, and then we went to the bar.
Yeah, that was the majority of the important information. So it was pretty good. So yeah,
well,
then we get back to the
After that, Mono Inui and Akalupu made their way down to the forge to meet up with the rest of the group. They arrived there, and I believe, if I remember how it went correctly, Mono Inui made Akalupu do a "that's not a knife" joke at Phoebe as she was juggling her knives.
Yep.
And then after that, Morgan came up and may have casted some slight shade Mono Inui's way.
Just a little bit.
After that. And then after that, we went over to the forge. I mean, not the forge. Basically half of his home for Morgrim anyways. We went over to the bar. And there, Morgrim was found to be a rather sociable and well-liked person. And quite the partier, as they discovered when drinks finally started to come out.
Yeah, has his own mug and everything.
Yep. Mono Inui spied Corvin over in one side of the bar and decided to have a chat with them.
Yeah, because Corvin was side-eyeing Reginald.
After that, Mono Inui learned a few new things about being a witch and such, and also learned a little bit about how Corvin came to be one as well. And learned also about... I'm completely forgetting the name. I know the last name's like Cole or Cool.
Yeah, Cotton Cole.
Cotton Cole learned about how his servants weren't always this way, and he used to communicate through them, and they used to give him offerings of various things, and also mentioned that Cotton Cole often just talked of wanting to rest and be left in peace.
Yep.
And how it seemed very odd that this was happening, and how, well, Corvin wasn't suited to going up and fighting through the undead, but I believe by this point, Mono Inui and Corvin had come to an agreement that Mono Inui would try and talk to Cotton Cole rather than just go straight to murdering.
Now, that was Corvin's suggestion on the way to proceed, at least.
Mono Inui and Corvin also entered into a binding magical pact that if either one's patron ordered any action against the other, they'd give at least an hour's warning for it to be fair rather than a surprise.
The way he worded it was actually more general than that. He basically, if either of them is going to take any adverse action against the other, then they have to give a 2-hour warning before taking any action. Doesn't matter whether it's at the behest of their patrons or not.
True. After that, I think we got back over to the rest of the group, where Phoebe was trying to make people lose some fingers and have some fun.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we were not allowed to use sharp knives, so Ip kept his finger.
Did give him a little bit of an owie, though.
Yeah. Akalupu had fun with the knife game, and Morgrim came over and tested his strength, and Akalupu found that there's now someone who seems to be as strong as him.
Yep. I believe Akalupu did win, though.
Yes, Akalupu did win, but not as much of a margin as you'd expect for a 4-foot-tall man arm wrestling a 7-foot-tall giant filled, like, literally the only thing you can see is muscle. So
I got reminded not to throw my rapier on the ball.
Yeah. Take someone's eye out with that thing.
Yep.
I'd never. I'm too skilled.
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe got yelled at for juggling her rapier in the bar in an attempt to get Akalupu to juggle his maquatl, which is
outside.
which is still something that we're going to see if it comes to today, although Morgrim has pulled Junior to the side to get a drink. And I think that's roughly where we left off.
We did go back to Manawanui for a bit, and they were still talking to Corvin, and we left off as Manawanui was asking questions about being a witch, and Corvin indicated a willingness to discuss that topic. Yeah, that more or less catches us up, so go ahead and give yourself that extra hero point. And yeah, we will pick up with Corvin and Manawanui. So, Corvin, takes another long draw on his pipe and breathes it out into a couple of rings, and then looks, gives a bit of a sigh, and then looks at Manawanui and says, "All right, what questions do you want to ask about it?"
Well, I'm glad you asked.
I'm glad you answered.
Oh, I'm always obliged to whenever I can answer a
Question with another question.
question.
That's the Manawanui way.
Leave everybody feeling uncertain.
Or in this case, answering an answer with a non-answer answer.
Basically. So tell me, how this might be a bit too personal. How would you describe your relationship with your patron? Would you say it's antagonistic?
No, certainly not, especially considering they saved my life when I was a child, as I mentioned before. My patron is my source of power and also a great deal of information. And, well, sometimes it's not entirely, what I would choose to do when they make requests. Generally, I can see the good of it.
And when dialoguing with your patron, how sorry, I'm being beaten by a tiny fist.
Go for the jugular.
He's trying. He's too small. He's too short.
Then he can reach the beard. Go for that, Judah.
Oh, he does. So when you're dialoguing with your patron, what kind of requests do you usually make of them, I guess?
What requests I make of them? I suppose often information when I have questions, and in general, I don't need much from my patron aside from the powers and strength that they afford me.
And would you say, I had a question, a really specific question, and I don't remember. I feel like I started asking it last time, but
you did ask about, like, means of communication.
Oh, that's right. So, if I remember correctly, you said your patron talks to you through visions and dreams, mostly?
Yes, primarily.
Have you ever gone anywhere else?
No, not that I'm aware of.
That's very, very interesting.
And give me a perception check.
Oh boy. Can I use ageless patience?
Yeah, I'll give it to you in this case.
Boop, boop, boop. Alright, I got a +2, 17.
All right.
I don't think that's going to be good enough.
So you can see that he certainly has a very studious look. He's certainly paying attention.
What did I just ask?
You just asked if he was ever brought somewhere else.
You seem to be reflecting on something.
Well, these questions are a two-way street, and I'm getting just as much information as you are, I imagine, from these lines of questioning.
Oh, I doubt it not. So are you aware of other patrons of like by name or knowledge? Or you just know they're out there?
No, certainly not by name. My patron hasn't named any of them in anything that I imagine to be more than just monikers or nicknames.
Have you ever dealt with any other agents of patrons? Of other patrons?
Yes, I have had a few run-ins, unfortunately, thus my caution at your approach and my insistence on our pact.
Wouldn't think that you'd find much outside interference on this relatively isolated island.
Yes, well, it hasn't been terribly regular, even before the pyramid took its current tact. And unfortunately, it has been somewhat more regular now that people are being dragged here against their will and stuck here.
And usually most of these interactions end negatively?
Well, that depends on your perspective.
For the other the other agents?
Some.
Are there more than just you and I on this island?
Currently, not that I am aware of.
It's very interesting. So, not to delve too deeply, I wish to respect your privacy, but have you ever been able to guess at the aim of your patron?
Guesses, certainly, but they seem the capricious sort, rather fueled by whims of fancy rather than any particular consistent stratagems, I suppose.
Interesting. And in your relationship with your patron, have you noticed any changes in them, or been pretty consistent?
Not in the slightest. They seem, if anything, like some sort of eternal being.
It's not like an increase in power and stature or anything like that? Hypothetically speaking.
Well, I suppose they do seem to have gotten stronger. I thought you meant more in terms of personality.
Pardon my laughter. Interesting. Judah, you can't jump off. Silly boy. I had another question. My son keeps trying to commit suicide. And then, like, laughing.
Just dying from cringe.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. So what would you say your purpose is in life?
Well, wouldn't it be grand if we were able to answer that? I am afraid that's well beyond the scope of a simple man as I.
So what kind of things do you do with your powers?
Well, Yeah, it has been quite useful when we've been attacked by wolves or needed to deal with other threats. There also was a time when I was younger where I traveled quite a bit, and, well, as I imagine you are very aware, the world out there is no friendly place at times.
Oh, no, indeed. Well, perhaps you can help me with this last thing. Do you know if there's um any
Any Wawas?
any Wawas?
I am
Do you
not
know if there's
aware of any
Wawas here?
Wawas.
You happen to know if there's any significance to that significance to your patron for that pyramid out there?
I don't believe so.
Well, that is very good. I don't think we shall have to come to any sort of disagreements in the future then.
I certainly hope so. As I said, I bear you no ill will, and would rather that we can depart amicably as friends when all of this is over. Assuming that you are indeed successful at the pyramid. If not, well then, I welcome you as a brother to this cursed island.
Aye. Well, I think I shall be here longer than you. If what I've been told is true.
And why is that?
Oh, I've been told by the good lady who lives here. I think she's your leader. Mrs. Morgan, or Miss Morgan would be more appropriate. People of my kind tend to live quite a bit naturally longer than people who are not of my kind. You know, I'm actually not sure what we call ourselves. Well, I say ourselves. I'm not sure what to call them.
What,
But
elves?
the people who, huh?
Elves?
Not elves, I guess. No. You know, regular people like yourself.
Humans.
There we go. Where I came from, it was all humans, and I just assumed I was an aberration of a human.
No, you do seem to be a rather separate race, though. It is possible to interbreed. There are half-elves out there.
Yeah,
They often find it difficult to fit in with either elven or human societies.
I should think so. Not truly being one of anything. Although, I think I might have some experience in that. With Miss Morgan being the first elven person that I've met.
You must be from the east, then. Or, sorry, the west.
Yes, I'm from the west. You happen to know maybe the great geography of this ocean and what lies to the east of here?
Not in any great detail. I never did have a head for navigation. And unfortunately, our maps, well, they're in the pyramid now. So if you're looking for any charts of the oceans, that's where you'll have to look.
Oh, really?
Indeed.
Well, that will be interesting. Judah.
This baby is killing me.
Yes, he's trying to talk, is what he's doing. He's like looking at me and yelling.
He's like, why don't you understand me, Daddy?
Basically, it's like, look, Daddy, I'm doing what you're doing. Then he also likes it when I bounce him, and I think he likes it when his voice is,
Yeah,
doing the reverberation.
makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so let's cut back to the bar for a bit. So what are y'all up to? I believe that you had just gone in for a round of drinks with Akalupu and Morgrim.
I'd assume Mako's just still been drinking this entire time.
Oh yeah.
Probably Morgrim and Akalupa are just enjoying the round after a good arm wrestling match. So, is Phoebe and Ip doing anything?
I thought you took it for a drink.
I took Akalupa for a drink.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I think we're still playing the knife game.
So you went from throwing your sword around to five-finger fillet again?
Yeah, I mean, I can't throw my sword around. I get in trouble.
Not inside.
I mean, I could challenge him to do it outside. Okay, so I go up to it and I say, so, since I'm not allowed to throw my sword inside, would you like to try it outside?
I need to get better at this finger game first.
Alright.
Ip is staring intently at the knife and going very slowly. Practice the.
Makes sense. So would you like to do an acrobatics or reflex save? See how good you're doing. Or I guess performance would work as well.
Yeah, I rolled 26.
Akalupa used athletics last time.
My acrobatics and reflex save are identical. I got a nat 1.
Oh no. Hey, you've got a hero point.
It was nice when you had 10 fingers.
now you're
That's a
9
Let's
finger
see
up.
what happened.
All right, go ahead and roll me 1d4.
I got 26 for mine, by the way.
All right, so Phoebe's still just a flying.
Mm-hmm.
3.
All right. So you clip yourself pretty good. You're bleeding a little bit. Give yourself like 1 point of damage, but nothing permanent. Luckily, you're using a butter knife. I assume you're still using a dull knife.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
practicing intently,
Yeah.
but not dangerously.
I'm using a real knife.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I imagine Phoebe's using a real knife. All right. Would people like to give me fortitude saves? Mostly Mano Anui, Morgrim, and Mako. See how you're doing with your drinks at this point.
A 28.
I got a 21.
Nice. Let's see. What is Akalupu's fortitude?
I got a 25.
Well, you're not drinking.
Oh, I thought I
Or
heard
at
the
least not
name.
excessively, right? I may have said Mano Anui instead of Akalupu. I do that way too often.
Mono Inui's drinking all of Akalupu's drinks.
Right, he's just doing the thing where he like he pours them sideways past his mouth into a plant next to him, but you're just drinking out of the pot.
I'm sitting behind that plant, man.
Yeah, you don't want to let any of that booze go to waste. All right, 28 for Makalupu. So y'all are still handling them quite well. You're still in the phase where the booze is giving you energy rather than starting to put you to sleep.
I've been casually drinking while doing the 5-finger fillet, and I got a nat 20 for my fortitude.
Nice.
So I think I'm like not even feeling anything yet.
So, this begs an interesting question of how is she drinking and doing 5-finger fillet? Is the beer cup being held by the foot, or is the knife being held by the foot?
It's a good question.
I was a circus gnome.
She's got the mug in both feet, And then she's got her head between her legs while she does 5-finger fillet.
Well, this is what you're competing with.
And
right.
losing.
Ask her how well she can channel positive energy.
Point.
Okay. Anything else you rapscallions are getting up to?
So, I think that by now, Morgan will have easily finished his drink of Akalupu because, well, dwarves are never one to savor their drink. And so, I think what Morgrim's going to do now is he's going to kind of walk back over to Mako, and Morgrim kind of sets his now empty stein down next to Mako and says, how do you feel about a real challenge to see if you can hold your liquor?
I'm already swaying on the stool.
Actually,
So,
I think everybody was still doing fine at this point, weren't they?
I mean, you're
I got a
affected.
21. Yeah.
You're certainly, it's not like you're not feeling anything. It's just that you're not getting ready to pass out underneath the table or anything.
That's true.
But I guess I don't want to back down from a challenge, so I'll agree.
So Morgrim then shouts to, what was the name of the lady in charge?
Jessica.
Shouts to Jessica, Jessica, it's time for a grog! Which Jessica will know is common dwarvish slang for binge drinking. Specifically a competitive kind.
Yeah, so she says, all right. Let me just get the glasses out. And so she goes back into the kitchen and she returns with a flight in each hand, each of which contains 6 mugs. And she begins filling them up from a pitcher.
I am wide-eyed, obviously intimidated, but not gonna say anything about it.
Yeah. And so she says, if anyone needs to relieve themselves, I suggest you do it now. Because you're going to be ingesting a great deal of liquid. And there's no leaving the room unless you want to forfeit.
Worm won't. Most of the time he just sweats it out in the forge.
Do you want me to roleplay peeing? I would pee.
All right. So, raising your hand, she indicates that the little girl's room is off in the back. So you can head off and do your business and return shortly.
Do you want me to roll for that? No, I'm just joking.
Yes, no, we need to go into excruciating detail here. You know, there's no toilet paper. Let's go ahead and discuss that while we're out it. All right. So, your turn. Is anyone else joining in on the grog?
I think given the fact that I'm 2 feet 5 inches, I'm gonna sit it out.
That seems wise. Looks like we have Junior back. Are you wanting to get involved?
I will try to. I'm still up and down, trying to get Little Miss to bed, but Abel just have to roll for me if I'm not here.
No worries. All right, so she brings out yet another flight and gets everything settled. And the competition may commence. So she brings out a large hourglass and says, whoever has drained the most cups by the time the sand runs through this glass will be considered the winner. Are all competitors prepared to begin?
Alas, says Morgrim.
Absolutely.
And the big lad?
He just kind of does a couple thumbs ups.
All right. So
He's
she
got
flips
2 thumbs
it.
and is ready to lose this drinking game. This guy.
Exactly. All right. So you now have a total of 10 rounds to drink 6 glasses. Each round round that you go, you are going to increase a negative modifier against your rolls, which by the way are going to be fortitude rolls. You can take breaks. As you've noticed, there are 6 classes and 10 rounds. And if you take a break during a round, that will reduce the total negative modifier. Make sense? Okay.
So.
So for your first roll, there will be no modifiers. So everyone go ahead and give me a fortitude check.
$30.
I got an 18.
31. Get wrecked, Anna. It was a nat 20.
Nice.
Pretty good. All right. So, Morgrim is certainly, a little slow. Maybe he's just playing the long game, though. It's hard to say. But everyone is certainly able to down their drinks rather quickly so far. And, of course, in actuality, you're not doing this on, like, a round-by-round basis. So each of you are, chugging faster or slower than the others. But we'll just kind of average things out. So next round, everyone is going to be rolling at a -2.
Got a 25.
18.
11. Took a big hit.
Yeah, definitely, starting to feel it now. That was a large glass, and you chugged it fast, maybe upset your stomach a little bit with all of the carbonation in the mead, or not mead, the ale.
Room beer.
Yeah, basically shroom beer. Absolutely. So, next round, you can either drink or take a break. That is 2 out of 6, so you have 8 rounds remaining. 2 out of your 6 glasses, 2 out of 10 rounds, thus 8.
Akaloop is going to keep going.
Me too.
Morgrim's going to take a break.
All right, so Morgrim takes a break. Everyone else, go ahead and roll, now with a -4.
Oof, 13.
Oof.
Got a 25.
Nice. Oh, almost gave Molly the break. Give that to David correctly. There we go. All right, so Morgrim seems to be, nursing his beer a little bit. Certainly, perhaps playing the long game. And Akalupu finally showing a few signs of slowing, while Mako is, starting to pick back speed. Maybe, had a bit of a burp to expel some extra gases. So, next round, anyone taking a break?
Now I'm gonna break.
All right.
Junior, you got to keep going.
Morgrim got a... I still have a -2, correct?
Yes, you are back to a -2 now.
28.
All right. Akalupu?
What's my negative at?
You are now at -6.
$21.
21. All right.
Because I'm supposed to be calculating the negative, right?
Yeah, so just roll fortitude and then subtract 6.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I was doing. I just wanted to make sure like both of us weren't subtracting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be bad.
All right. So, Mako takes a break, takes a moment to just breathe. And Morgrim begins to pick up the pace. Akalupu, however, is continuing to absolutely forge ahead. And seems to be taking a rather commanding lead at this point. All right. Who is anyone taking a break this round?
Nope, I'm going.
No, let's roll.
All right, then unless Junior is taking a break, Junior, you are now at a -8. Molly and David, you are both at a -4.
I got a 19.
All right.
Ooh. Let's see, -8 you say, so 7.
Okay.
18 for Mako.
18. Not bad. All right, Junior continues to forge ahead at full pace, or at least attempt to, but starting to turn a little green. And that is round 5, I believe. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that is round 5. And Junior is quite close to finishing his drinks, and y'all are also making progress. Is anyone taking a break this round?
Nope.
No, we're going.
Okay, then Akalupu, you are rolling at a -10. Mako and Morgrim, you are rolling at a -6. Fortitude, please.
17.
And I got a 16.
All right.
You said -10, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I got a 20.
Woof.
Oh, dang.
Oh yeah, no, Akalupu got that fortitude.
Yeah, when I
All
don't
right.
roll a 3. I rolled a 3 last time, so with my plus 12, it was only 15.
Yeah.
Youch, that one's gotta hurt.
Okay. And that's 6. There we go. All right, Molly, David, you both have one more drink. Yeah, take a break or go for it.
I'm gonna go for it.
Okay, and y'all were at a -6 last time, is that right?
That sounds right to me.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure I was actually keeping track of my math correctly. So, -8s. Let's go.
I think I'll go. Okay, so I got a 21.
All right.
And I got a 12.
All right, 12. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds for you guys. Finish the math. All right, so Akalupu, unfortunately, dragged down by your one low roll with that 1-7 you got. You are just barely in the lead rather than destroying them, as should have been your right. And then Morgrim comes in at a close second with a less than a 10th. So a few seconds later, and then Mako having to kind of force down the last bits a little bit more slowly, but still keeping up for the most part, finishes with only, what would that be? 13 seconds behind the lead.
And I didn't throw up or fall off my chair?
No, you never rolled low enough to do that, I don't think.
Put that in the W column.
Yeah, you
List
did.
of things I could not do in real life.
Yeah. Now you did get a 12 on your last roll, so you're probably a bit queasy at this point.
Yeah, I bet. I never do speed drinking games in real life. That is such a bad plan.
Oh yeah, no, nobody should be doing that. It's not as
Like,
fun as they make it look in Indiana Jones.
Yeah, do not try this at home, kids.
Yeah.
The only reason we're doing it here is one of us is a barbarian who could be bitten by 7 rattlesnakes and not die. One of us is a dwarf who could also be bitten by 7 rattlesnakes and not die. And the other's an alchemist who drinks toxic concoctions.
And is 19 years old.
Exactly. Your liver's gonna live forever.
Absolutely, of course.
It's gonna liver.
Terrible.
All right. But yeah, no, at this point, you are certainly getting into the more not blackout, but you're starting to get into the phase of being drunk enough that walking straight is no longer an option. And every chair is a rocking chair.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so Diana claps or not Diana, Jessica claps and congratulates Akalupu and says, "We hereby crown a winner of the most recent grog. I do believe this is the first time that anyone has ever unseated the champion," and she winks at Morgrim. And so she goes and reaches underneath the counter and she pulls out a small metal-worked crown that Morgrim certainly made at one point so that he could, have some sort of an award for winning his own competition. And she puts it on Akalupu's head with a proper little curtsy and some pomp and circumstance. And those in the crowd who are still conscious also cheer.
Akalupu is far more proud of this than he should be. He just wishes that his dad was here to see it.
Morgrim, with his deep, roaring laugh, clasps a hand on Akalupu's forearm and in a cheery voice, certainly lifted by how much he just drank, but nonetheless still quite happy, says, "Aye, kid, I think you might be able to drink with some of the Longbeards back home." Admittedly, only the ones who couldn't hold their liquor as well, letting out another loud, hearty, roaring laugh.
Akalupu's gonna snicker and be like, so I guess that includes you under the ones that couldn't hold their liquor, eh?
Ooh.
Morgan, with a slight smirk and chuckle, says, "Aye, lad, I only wish I could hold it like them."
Yeah. Speaking of which, bathroom breaks are no longer optional for you two at this point. Unless you want to splode.
Yeah.
What's not optional?
Bathroom breaks.
Oh, yeah.
You guys just drank like several liters of liquid. On top of all the drinking you've already done.
Yeah.
Starts going out to relieve himself. He says, "Those old grumblers could drink themselves to death if they wouldn't complain about it."
All right.
Akalupu is also going to go find a bathroom or spot to pee somewhere.
So, yeah,
that is
Akalupu
equally
seems more
accessible.
like the peeing in an alleyway kind to me.
Yeah, he's going to find a large cup to try to find a drunk elf in.
What? I'm
trying to
confused.
remember. I had a flashback to one of our games where wasn't it Wayne's character, the rat that ended up drunk in a cup? Because there was
That
a giant
sounds
cup on
right.
top of the. It's on top of the tavern.
Yep, no, that does sound right. Even though I don't think it was a rat. I think it was when he was his bird person.
Yeah, that might be. Anyways, yeah,
No,
Akalupu's going down that route.
All right, so you go find some, out of the way rooftop architecture to pee on.
Yes.
Or do you want to go over to the cliff overlooking the ocean and just send it out?
You know what? That sounds like Akalupu Jr. It's gonna be
Good
like
way
this
to
one's
fall
for
into
you,
the
Dad.
ocean.
All right. We will pick up with y'all again in a bit. So, Mono Anui, you and Corvin are, deep into your pipes at this point, and have had a few discussions, rather educational discussions, on the finer points of different breeds of pipeweed and the locations they grow in, how the climates affect it, and both the flavor and strength, and kind of his preferences. And once again, he continues to point out how this is merely a pale imitation of the real thing that they're able to put together here on the island. And then after that, he has started to discuss astrology. And so he says, you see, the heavens are somewhat a gateway to the spirit world. And even though the two are not one and the same, they are interlinked directly with each other. And by observing the movements and patterns of the stars above us, we're able to learn much, not only of the spirit realm, but also of our own world, as the spirit realm overlaps and intertwines with our own.
Oh? I think I might have experienced something similar to this, but can't be too sure.
Yes, there are two primary means of divination: astrology and, a rather wide-ranging diaspora of various methods, though you may have heard of reading the tea leaves, or perhaps the chicken entrails in the past.
Back in my village, we had something similar to this, but mostly it was I guess what I'm thinking of is, at one point back on the island I came from, we the sky became a mirror, except it wasn't a mirror because, well, for instance, my almost called him a hawk. My goodness, my raven. My raven was a massive bird, massive enough to carry me, and he and this one girl I used to know, she was also a witch, and her familiar was also intelligent and speaking to us. But I don't know if that's quite what you're referring to.
Oh, that does sound rather familiar. When you were looking at this mirror, was it an inverse, an upside-down version of the world around us, but up in the sky?
It is exactly how you say.
Yes. Now that, what you're describing is the one half of the spirit realm. It goes by many names, but you can think of it as the upper half of the spirit realm. While the lower half of the spirit realm is rather different. It bears many resemblances to the lands under the ocean.
Well, unfortunately, I've also had quite some experience down there as well. In fact, more so than above.
Oh, indeed.
I won't get too much into it, as it's a long tale and the night is growing long, and our pipeweed seems to be growing small. But I back on our home island, there was a volcano, and might seem silly to you at the time, but something possessed me to jump into it.
Uh.
And I appeared into the underworld and was held captive by I was going to say a witch, but that's me. I'm a witch. By a different sort of witch.
I see. Well, there are witches in the afterlife, or the spirit realm, I mean.
Aye. Well, and you see
they're
my...
often somewhat different from you and I. Much more self-sufficient, I suppose.
Aye. This one didn't seem to have any sort of patron.
You're lucky you were able to escape.
Well, you see, my bird here, Reginald, before he was my familiar, he took my place and he went into my body and I into his, and he underwent a fearful curse where he would age in order... Well, you see, our island had a guardian much like this island, and in order to get past it, he had to make it seem as if he was no threat, which he did by casting a... Well, we did by casting a curse on him, making it so that he couldn't... that he would age incredibly rapidly. And so he was an old fellow by the time he got back. But he came and saved me, but unfortunately the curse traveled with him when he went back into his own body. And he turned into dust, and at the time I didn't know it, but that's how a friend of mine... Well, that's how I became employed in the service of my patron.
I see. That would explain much if that is not your friend Reginald's original form.
No, indeed, he used to just be a white raven.
So he lets out a sigh, a final breath of smoke, and then knocking his pipe against the back of his wrist, and ejecting the last bits of ash into a dish set upon the table, he says, "Well, this has been a rather enlightening conversation, and I must say I've been quite happy for it. If you ever make it back from the pyramid, you must come see me again." But
We'll definitely do our best. And is there anything in there you want us to look for? Now, just let us know.
I don't think there's anything, though. As I said before, please be careful and see if you can't talk to Cotton Cole before you do anything too rash. I suspect he may be a rather more formidable opponent than you might imagine, and resorting immediately to violence is likely to be a difficult road.
Well, I should try my best, but my companions aren't always the most cautious, but we shall see.
Well, may the gods be with you, and speed your journey.
Same to you. I'm going to... I was gonna say tip my hat, but I don't think I don't have a hat. So
Tip the skull that you're wearing.
LOL. I'm just gonna flick.
Or are you wearing the
top of my
captain's
hair.
hat at this point? Have you ever
I'm wearing
found
my-
the?
I'm wearing my captain's hat at
Have
this
you
point.
ever found the captain's hat after Dolphine stole it and then hid it behind a barrel?
You know, I don't remember, but I definitely would have looked for it.
All right. Well, we'll say you found it. So yeah, you have a nice captain's hat to tip.
going
Definitely,
to
you
tip-
definitely did not steal it from Captain Lady before she left.
No, definitely not. Definitely would not do that.
So he gets up rather stiffly and grabs the cane that has been leaned against the wall next to him, and his raven. Him and Reginald have been, off in a windowsill, kind of quietly cawing at each other. You could swear that they're talking to each other, but you can't quite prove it. And his raven hops off of the windowsill and alights on his shoulder. And with a final nod, he slowly starts to hobble out.
I'm going to go look and see if I can't find my friends.
All right, so let's go back to said friends. So Morgrim, you're just headed to the usual water closet.
Is my mic picking me up now? Yes.
Yes. All right. Mako, you're mostly fine, having taken the opportunity beforehand. And Phoebe has just been watching on with an amused smile, I imagine. Everyone else making poor life choices.
Obviously.
All right, Akalubu. So you go wandering out into the night. Your entire body is quite warm from the alcohol, and the drizzle on your skin actually feels quite pleasant at this point, cooling you down from the warm interior of the. And I found out, even though I was calling it not an inn, not a bar. What was I calling it?
Tavern.
Tavern. Yes. Okay. Tavern. Evidently, the difference is tavern has food and drinks, but no rooms. A bar just has drinks, and an inn has food and drinks and rooms. So this would be an inn. So you leave the inn and go wandering through the streets. At this point, it's gotten late enough that most of the more reputable citizens have already turned in, and only those who are, down for a bit of extra carousing are still out and about. There's a bright moon, though very little of it seems to be piercing through the clouds above, but you can see a silver lining across the clouds, proving its existence, and a bit of a reflection off on the ocean as well. Providing sufficient light as you wander out toward the cliff and begin relieving yourself. Let's get a perception check.
Is Anna here at the moment?
Yeah, I was about to ask, is Anna here to roll the check, or do we need Abe to roll for her?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to unmute myself.
All good.
As soon as she said that, I heard my name, but I think Abe's grabbing her. Well, hopefully it was good. 11. He almost rolled in that one.
All right, and there was a penalty for the alcohol, so yeah. Akalupu notices how nice of an evening it is, and is rather enjoying himself.
It's like this is nice. Man,
Exactly.
nice place to be at. I am so glad that we're here.
Yeah, no, you are in a great mood at the moment. And so, wrapping up, you turn around and head back toward the inn, which is one of the few buildings with the lights still on, so it's fairly easy for you to find. And
That's
you
good. I don't know if I'd find it otherwise.
very true. And so rolling back into the inn, you return just as Manawanui is getting up and starting to look for her group. So, Jessica, seeing that you guys seem to be ready to wrap up, and she's also, has stopped serving any food or alcohol and is starting to encourage the patrons to leave. And there seems to be someone coming in with a wheelbarrow who is retrieving those who do not have sufficient consciousness to remove themselves from the premises. And so Jessica, who is behind the counter, polishing up the last few glasses and getting things settled for the evening, she says to you, I've already had the boy take care of the rooms, so just head upstairs. Yours are the... How many of there were you? Because there's, let's see, Manawanui, Akalupu, Mako, Dolphine, and Ip. So 5. So it's the last 5 rooms on the end of the hallway.
I probably live in the whole room.
Thank you. Akalupu's gonna stumble upstairs, knocking down way too many things. Apologizing profusely, trying to pick them up, knocking down more things in his attempt. And then just kind of like wincing and just walking away.
Yeah, there's a skinny redheaded lad who was falling behind you, trying to pick things up as you went, and is now sighing to himself as he sees the scope of the problem ahead of him.
I want to whisper loudly to Manawanui, who just walked up. I have to go to bed. I don't want to go in the wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow? Wheelbarrow? Wheelbarrow?
Shh. It's okay. We'll get you to bed. Manawanui's gonna pat her on the back and kind of get up under her arm. And you said Manawanui, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Manawanui's gonna try and like put her arm over her neck and kind of like try and help her to her room.
As Akalupu hears and sees them behind him, he's going to turn around and come up to Manawanui and be like, Mom! Mom! Look, one Mom! And show his medal that he got for the drinking competition to Manawanui.
Yeah. Junior, people are sleeping. Try and keep it down. That's very impressive, but
Akalupu's going to hush louder than he was talking. Sorry, people sleeping.
Manawanui, if she had a free hand, would face palm, but since not, she's just gonna sigh heavily.
Phoebe reaches over and palms your face for you.
Yeah. I have
Standing
to hop
on
a
top
little
of a
bit.
table to do this.
I was gonna
No,
say
she
I would
just
have to, like,
jumps and
hop
does
pretty
a.
high.
You just jump and do like a little tumble in the air as you're doing it.
Yeah, maybe she's
Yeah.
hanging from a chandelier.
Or that.
Yeah.
All right, so you return to your rooms. They're not amazing. Yeah, they're a bit drafty. There are leaks coming from the roof in a place or two, though usually there's some sort of container underneath to catch them out that are slowly filling up with water. You've noticed that seems to be rather a consistent problem around here, as even in I've forgotten her name. Even in
Jessica?
Diana Morgan's little boathouse that she had set up, there were leaks in places. But they seem to be well enough arranged. One of them has the bed just like in an awkward corner, obviously to avoid a leak that seems to have sprung up above its intended position. But the beds are reasonably comfortable, and probably not quite comparable to your own. At least certainly not the captain's cabin back on your boat, but sufficient enough. And given your level of intoxication, you're pretty much able to crash anywhere at this point. So
As the
everyone,
group will start,
I was gonna say, doesn't it have a flat surface in it? Because I'm pretty sure that's what I'm looking for.
exactly.
as the group begins to head up to their rooms, probably by then, Morgrim has finished and has. I don't know if we're gonna have anybody roll to notice this, but he will have gone over to Jessica and began settling his tab for just in general and also the grog and such for tonight.
And she's like, "Oh, well, like I said, as you're going to make another attempt on the pyramid, well, it's the least I can do, so." And she hands a good chunk of it back. "You really only need to pay for yourself."
Morgrim with a grin says, "Well, honestly, I had such a good time with that grog. I kind of feel bad not giving you anything for it." So he gives a good chunk, not more than 30% of what she gave back, but probably somewhere around that, to her, and bids her a good night as he dons his oiled cloak to leave.
All right, so Morgrim and Diana make their way back to the forge, and I imagine you have rooms set up in there somewhere.
Morgrim definitely at least has a room. I think Faith was saying she wanted Phoebe to have a room in the inn.
No, I was saying I probably live with you,
Okay, so yeah,
like a shoebox or something.
I probably made you a room, but you probably still sleep in like the chest at the foot of my bed.
Yeah, you just sleep on the foot of
Yeah.
his bed like a cat.
Yeah.
All right, so the night passes uneventfully, and you all awaken in the morning. Let's get a final round of fortitude checks to see just how hungover any of you are.
Oh, dang it, I got an 18.
All right.
I got a 19.
21.
Okay. And then Manawanui doesn't need to roll because they were not indulging over much. Ip, I imagine you're kind of in the same boat. You're not getting involved in the more rambunctious drinking.
Correct. I'm hyper focused on knives. I took a butter knife from the bar back to.
Yeah. You just haven't realized that you technically are stealing now?
Well, I'm in the building.
True. You haven't left yet. All right. And Phoebe.
I need to roll.
Correct.
All right. Give me a sec. $13, but I did not drink as much as them.
Yep. But you are also like a tenth of their size.
Yeah. And I probably drank a tenth of what they drank.
Yeah. All right. Akalupu, you got what, 21, 20?
21.
All right. Akalupu seems fresh-faced and ready to take on the world. The rest of you will be rolling any rolls that seem applicable to being hungover at a -2 today.
Oof.
So you wake up a bit bleary-eyed and noise sensitive, and luckily, with the constant storm overhead, you don't have to worry too much about the light sensitivity. But Arkalupu for once is one of the earlier risers in the group. Of course, Ip would have beaten him by quite a bit, especially with only needing to sleep 4 hours. Manawanui, you also had 4 hours. Did either of you want to do anything with your extra time in the night?
Mono is going to try and fashion herself a pipe.
All right. You are going to need materials. Go ahead and give me a crafting check. Let's see if you were able to identify what Corvin's pipes were made of.
Of course. I found my physical dice.
Nice.
Everything's going to turn around, y'all. I can feel it. Plus, what do I have in crafting? 13. 27? 13 plus 14? 27. 27.
All right. So you recognized it as a very dense, slow-growth wood, and either you asked Corvin or you could have made the connection yourself, but it seems to be exactly the kind of wood that grows in the forests on this island. These rather twisted, low-lying, scrubby trees.
Nice. So I'm going to go out, forage for some material. I'm gonna forage for some material. I'm trying to think of how I've got some. What do I have? I've got some pointed tools, I assume.
I mean, you have a knife. You certainly have the tools to start making a pipe. But you wouldn't, even just given the time involved, you certainly wouldn't be able to finish it in the night, not after having foraged, especially. So we'll say that you're able to get a chunk of wood that seems rather promising. It has a nice, pleasing, dark red color to it. And, or actually, no, it wouldn't be red. It would be fairly pale and white, almost the color of bone. And you're able to start carving it roughly into the right shape, but this wood is in fact very dense, and I think your knife is obsidian, right?
Yes.
So while it is quite sharp, it is slow going, as your obsidian knife doesn't have a perfectly flat edge, so you're having to cut it away in little strips. But you've kind of started to get it into the roughly correct shape.
Good enough start for now.
Absolutely. All right. What about Ip? You doing anything?
Nah, I think just getting some extra sleep.
All right. So, or are you getting in some extra prayers? Because you really don't need more than 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah, I guess praying that I can do the knife better.
Yeah. There is time if you wanted to go annoy Burnbright. He'll probably be up, considering he has the same sleep schedule you do.
I might go just show Burnbright that.
Nice.
All right, so Burnbright is duly impressed, and he vows to practice in your absence so that the two of you can compete on your return from the pyramid.
Also, do I have like a spell book? I've just been thinking about all the spells that help us out.
Yeah, you do not have a spell book. You have a religious focus that you're required to have in order to channel a lot of your spells, But otherwise, because they are gifted to you by the god that you worship, they are something that you can just cast with a bit of
Cool.
prayer and chanting.
No research
So
necessary.
different, you and I. We're the same.
Yeah, from a certain perspective. All right, so Ip returns before sunrise and soon finds Akalupu, who is downstairs and is loudly. What are you loudly doing as you dine upon a meal of scrambled eggs and mushroom?
Loudly butchering the Forge song that I heard yesterday.
You know, turning it into, some dirty limericks.
Pretty much, but also just mostly like kind of like when you try to sing the opening song from The Lion King. It's in a language that you don't know, so you're really just saying like complete gibberish.
Yeah, and then every third word is just la 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 because you can't remember the words at all.
Yep, exactly.
All right, and that will, I imagine, have woken up the others of you who are less enthused about it. So, all of you eventually make your way down and get together for breakfast. Morgrim and Diana, I assume you also planned to head over in the morning so that you could get an early start on this journey, as you have a fair bit of jungle to, well, not jungle per se, but fair bit of ground to cover.
Yes, and I do
Calling
believe my name is
Phoebe.
Phoebe.
Yeah.
Yes, I keep calling you Diana. My apologies.
It's alright.
I'll
So
get it
I
I just find it
eventually.
amusing.
I would say I'll get it eventually, but I still call Akalupu Manawanui constantly.
You're
Quick
doing your best,
question.
and therefore no one can criticize you.
That's right. Nobody better say nothing.
Well, fulfill your wishes exactly as you grammatically requested. But anyways, quick question. I assume for Morgrim to do his beard in some particular braids and with clasps and a few other things, I assume I just use a crafting to determine how well he did that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Can't think of anything else that would be more applicable.
Why am I so bad at rolling? I think I agree with Abe. I think these dice hate players, but I got a 14.
All right, so Morgrim, was
And
trying
it's
to
for
do.
how fast he's going. So he's gonna do it well, even if it's slowly, but it's just for how fast he goes.
All right. So do you want to head over before you've finished, or are you just gonna show up late?
Morgrim will show up late to complete this.
All right, Phoebe, are you gonna wait for Morgrim, or are you gonna go over?
Nah, there's some people who believe me that they can do knife stuff.
All right. Well, everyone except Morgrim is now gathered up. You guys can eat some breakfast and plan your ooting.
Mono Anui, at this point, having come in from carving outside, once she sees Ip and Mako. I don't know why I kept thinking Mono Anui, even though that's me.
You just have
anyway.
one of those names.
I really do. It just wants to come and go. Anywho, once she sees her company, basically the company's assembled, she's gonna start talking about what she's gonna start relaying some of the information as it pertains to
Cotton coal.
Yeah, cotton coal and the island and the pyramid. She's going to start relaying that information to them. Basically, tell them what she found out. Of course, leaving out some of the more sensitive details, like about maybe like the pact and the other guy being a witch, and any talk about patrons, things like that. It's all going to be eschewed.
All right.
So he definitely recommended that when we meet this cotton coal, that we try and, well, he said try not to destroy it. Try to, I may be putting words into his mouth, but reason with it first. But
yeah, and you remember Diana Morgan advised the exact opposite. She advised destroying the creature and taking the many treasures of the pyramid and the power held there as your own, and how that will make you rather strong as you leave the island.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I completely forgot. So it seems that we have a decision to make because they were all there for the original briefing from Diana Morgan, right?
They were there for the basics. You did end up talking about it a little bit more with her.
So, where's the good lady of this island? She advised that we kill the creature, but so it seems that we have a decision to make if we want to kill it or see if we can't reason with it. On the one hand, it sounds like we'll make off quite well, and the people of this island will get their god caretaker back. But it might be more profitable for us if we don't.
Everyone just stares at you over their plate of scrambled eggs and cubed mushrooms that have been sauteed up.
They're overawed with my presentation.
Yes.
It had diagrams and pictures and
yeah, and several of them are just rubbing their heads, being like, "Will you please stop talking?"
Yeah, what's the like D&D version of wearing sunglasses? Wearing your hood up inside?
Exactly. You got your hood pulled down pretty far over your eyes.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever the group wants to do, whatever seems right when we get there. I mean, maybe we'll be able to catch this guy's vibe. Maybe he'll be like a god and we won't want to fight him.
But maybe he'll attack us first. Whether we or if fight him, we need to get to him first.
Wow, Jason, your mic is really going in and out. But I think that we got the idea.
Yeah, I think the idea is we gotta get
decision for us.
I don't care much what we do with this coal guy, but as long as I get revenge for my crew, I'll be happy. And off this God-forbidden rock. So bold!
I guess
Morgan, would you
for
like
some
to show
reason-
up now?
Discord had my input sensitivity like cranked all the way up, so I had to shout into the microphone. This should be better.
Yeah, that seems way better so far.
Yeah.
That would
I've
definitely do
never
it though.
touched that setting in my life. I don't know why it changed it.
Yeah. Discord does that sometimes, definitely. Like, I'll have settings just change.
Morgan would like to show up now.
Alright, so you show up now.
And your braids are looking poppin', correct?
Yes. So different. So the braids are a similar level of intricacy, and I know I didn't describe this yesterday, but like intricacy and very obviously deliberately done, but in a very different style from yesterday. And also the clasps in it are fewer and larger than yesterday. Also, are we planning to? I guess Morgrim probably has just showed up in his clothes and his coat, so because this is more of a planning session, at least to him. So that's just how he shows up.
You will be heading out soon, though, or at least should be.
Yeah, and Morgrim was late, so he's not gonna show up like that. He is going to show up head to toe in solid dark gray metal plate. In fact, if it wasn't for the glorious black beard, you'd hardly know it was him.
Indeed. Also, you're carrying a rather large shield.
Yeah, at first they thought it was just the door closed behind him, but he appears to have a solid stone wall reinforced with metal on his back. Larger than him.
Jeez Louise. That's intense.
Yeah, no chill, this guy.
Yeah, I'm like, barely even brushed my teeth this morning.
Morgan doesn't need his hood
Even
down because he's got a
brushed
full
teeth?
helmet on.
Right? You're hiding your hangover behind two beady little holes in your helmet.
But Morgrim does come over and gently, although still with a loud thud and a creaking of the floor under its sheer weight, set the shield down behind him as he sits down to the table and says, sorry for the time it took to get over here, but things have to be done properly. So what did I miss? And he sort of beckons over at Jessica's the name of the girl who runs the bar, right?
Yes.
And just says my usual.
So she nods and goes out of the kitchen later with a hearty porridge with large chunks of. Probably what do you eat meat in your porridge, or what do you do?
Probably the meat is in the porridge.
All right, so a porridge with chunks of elk meat.
It's elk bacon.
There you go.
I don't know if there's an elk bacon back there if I want to have this porridge.
You gotta have the porridge. It sticks to your ribs.
Oh yeah. Not to mention, hearty porridge is a dwarven cure for a hangover, even though that doesn't actually work.
Yeah. Oh, and there's definitely booze in the porridge because as a hangover cure, you gotta have a bit of the hair of the dog that bit you, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. So Morgrim now has food, and he was just asking what he missed.
We catch him up. Basically just deciding whether or not we kill Cole.
Grim, stroking one of the massive braids in his beard because the braids are definitely larger today than they were before, says, deep in thought, I don't know about what to do with the leader of the undead, but I know for sure that the Horde has to pay.
Yeah.
Although, considering what I know of Masters of the Undead and such, if we can choose not to fight him, I think it would be in the interest of our long-term survival and any of us seeing our families again, to not fight him at least to the death.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're all in agreement that we're gonna have to gather some more information and play this somewhat by ear. But that we're open to doing whatever it takes to make it out of this pyramid alive.
Grim, after finishing about half his stew as quickly as he can, does take a small break to ask, how many days of supplies do you think the rest of you can bring?
I don't know. I can't carry
Answer
much.
that question.
Of course, this is Ip's chance to be like, I can make food. You just won't like it.
Totally. And how many days do you think it'll take to get to the pyramid and then ascend?
Well, I don't think the pyramid will be any more than a day's travel, although it might be good to take a rest before going in. But the pyramid itself is large and will be facing resistance almost constantly, so I figure it might take us days, maybe even weeks, to push our way through it.
All right, and 1 day's rations for one person is light bulk, so you can definitely carry quite a few. Because if I remember correctly, light bulk, it's like 10 makes one normal bulk. Something like that.
Oh, well, I guess Junior can just carry everyone's supplies.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
He's like, and while he's at it, I'm not that heavy.
Yeah.
And I fit right on your shoulder. You could give me crackers.
And I just confirmed
If
it,
you want
and
the
I just confirmed it, and yes, it is 10 light items count as one bulk, so all of you could carry quite a few rations with no problem.
Been fighting just through the few rooms I made it with Phoebe and her crew. It took us hours. The skeletons seemingly never stopped, and you can never be too careful around traps that could easily take a man's head off.
And this is Dolphine speaking, we have plenty of supplies on our boat. Maybe we should go check in with Burnbright, and we could grab supplies there before we head out.
I mean, I'm only 40 pounds, so Junior could carry me.
Oh yeah.
Not even 50 pounds.
Junior could carry Morgrim, and Morgrim is like 300 pounds. With armor, I mean.
Junior probably wouldn't even noticed if I climbed up, though.
Just become a parrot.
That.
Grim has his backpack attached to the, honestly, I'm just going to continue to call it what it is, small stone wall that he seems to haul around with him. And he says, well, And the whole time people have been talking with the plan, he's been finishing up his soup. He says, well, we should probably get as early as a start as we can, and I've held us up long enough as it is. He looks around to see if anybody still needs to finish up food or if everybody's done.
I imagine by now everyone is finished.
Yeah.
So you can head out whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I guess let's head to the boat and gather supplies, talk to Burn Bright. And I think just for logistical purposes, we're going to drop off Delphine, right? So that our encounters have the right number of people.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be more than the normal amount, but I've obviously accounted for that. But yes, given the amount of time that combat is going to take as it is, we definitely do not need an extra NPC there.
Word.
All right, so it's a short hike down the beach, or down back to the beach, and you find your boat exactly where you left it. Though you
Well, didn't
hear,
burn it down?
it seems not. Though you do hear from the boat, Burnbright seems to be yelling. He's like, "No, you're supposed to do it with your own fingers, not my fingers. Hello, stop it!" And then you hear, the sound of knives thudding into wood, and Burnbright lets out a rather unmanly squeal, and then you see him go rolling off the side of the boat and goes thudding into the beach.
Oh no. Someone
Oh,
taught
they
her
were
the
playing the
knife
knife
game.
game.
Seeing this scene, Morgrim has placed his hand firmly on the hammer, but decided that no one seems to think that a fight is about to start, even though it certainly looks like someone's attacking someone. And
Yeah, you see Burnbright picks himself up and dusts himself off and sees you guys and lets out a long sigh, and says, "Ip, baby, you should not have taught us that game." And then you see Gerd jump up onto the railing with a knife in each hand and another one that he seems to have somehow attached to his forehead. And he's just ululating loudly.
Oh my god, Burn Bright, I didn't teach you guys this game. I taught you this game. This is on you.
No, bruh, I knew better than to teach him this. I think he was watching us from, like, the shadows or whatever.
I've never seen Gur sneak a day in his life.
Oh, yeah, he can be pretty stealthy when he wants to be, believe it or not.
I guess that's why I've never seen him.
True. It's like, how do you know that that fat people make the best ninjas? Well, have you ever seen a fat ninja? Exactly.
Oh my god.
It's a good point. Have you ever seen a ninja?
I don't know, but, like, that seems on point too, right? Ninjas are like, ninjas be creeping. It was like, when, like, Dad wanted to pull a prank, like, he could be hiding, like, right next to you, and you wouldn't know until it was too late.
Yeah, I guess Dad was probably the closest thing to a ninja.
Yeah, just don't tell him that. He would be way too happy to be called a ninja.
Well, he's certainly mastered the disappearing act.
Oh! Man, right to the heart, bro. Don't worry, man. Like, he's definitely out there somewhere.
Yeah, I hope so. I give him a piece of my mind.
Gonna say, I feel like he's one of those kids. He's gonna be like, "Son," he's gonna be like, walks up to him, just like smacks him in the face.
Exactly. All right, so everybody, go ahead and give yourselves 10 rations.
Already carrying 2 weeks on him.
All right.
Thomas, I sneak up to goal with a 20 full and have a nat 20 for stealing 1 or 2 of the knives.
You can sneak toward Gur at half your movement speed and then try to climb on the boat with the stealth roll, but you are nowhere near close enough to just sneak up behind him.
I thought we were getting on the boat to get stuff.
Ah, okay. So this is after you were on board.
Yeah.
All right. So what was your stealth roll?
20 full.
Okay, let's give Gur a perception check. Roll. There you go. So Gur got a 27.
So he notices me. All right.
So you go to sneak up behind him, and he immediately starts once again ululating loudly and starts trying to play Five-Finger Fillet with your fingers.
Since I got a nat 20 on stealing, can I steal it while he's holding it?
I mean, you can try to grab a knife. You're not going to be, like, stealing it stealthily. It's not like a pickpocket at this point. He's going to be perfectly aware that you took it. Yeah, so you can try to grab it if you want to. But that would be a reflex save.
All right. I don't want to risk it. I guess I just try and escape and hide behind June. I hide behind Junior.
So he continues chasing you, and then eventually, just when you think that your life is truly in danger, he starts bowing in front of you and says, "The master, teach me the way of the knife."
Unfortunately, I'm a little busy right now, young thing.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete a couple of slots of the food that you guys have on the boat. So you pack up quite a bit of your food supplies and are ready to head toward the pyramid. Anything else you would like to do before leaving?
I have to prepare my potions, but I'm guessing I can probably do that just on my own time between this session and next session.
Yeah, you'll do that generally on a long rest, so we'll assume that sometime during the morning you found time to do it, so you can definitely refresh all of your potions. And you do, even though your fancy kit that Sunbeam gifted you, it gives you a bonus to your checks, and that one isn't mobile. You do have a mobile kit that you bring around with you, so you'll be able to do all of that as you are on the go.
Cool.
All right. Anything else? All right, so you guys head off into the jungle, and it's a rather a slow schlep through the jungle. Who is taking point?
Probably more than.
All right, then I will need a survival check from Morgrim, I mean, to navigate.
Morgan came with us.
Da, da, da.
12.
All right, Morgrim, it's been a while since you made the trip, and it seems like all of the necrotic mists keep popping up in the way you think you need to go, and before long you find that you are no longer at all confident that you are going on the correct route.
Morgrim's gonna turn to Phoebe and say, "Hey, Phoebe, do you think you could scamper up that?" As he points at the tallest tree in the vicinity.
I got a 23 to my survival check to sit on Mulgrim's shoulder and point in the direction we need to go.
All right,
You've
so
been doing this the entire time?
Yes. After you started looking a bit lost, I scampered up your shoulder and started whispering in your ear the direction we need to go.
all right, well. Especially considering the pyramid is a very obvious landmark, it's not so much about going the right direction as it is just taking the least dangerous route there. And so, with a bit of help and Phoebe's assistance, you guys start to make much better progress. It still does take you quite a few hours. You end up needing to take a break at some point and grab some lunch before resuming your journey, and you arrive. Let's see, let me get rid of Dolphine and Bubbles. We have Mako, Bandit, and Ip. That should be everyone. And so after around 8 hours of difficult hiking, it is now.
Bandits in Tattoon form.
All right. Well, you're going to need a token for him if you're going to be able to control him. So just leave him on the map, but remember to move him around with you. You find yourselves now as the final light is disappearing behind the horizon in front of a massive pyramid.
I just see a blackness.
Let me check the settings on your token.
I too just see black.
That's probably because none of you have any light. Would some of you like to use magic or torches? I believe Morgrim is probably the only one who can see in the dark.
I also have darkness as like my screen.
Even when you're looking here?
Let me zoom out. There we go. I was just zoomed into the wrong part of the map. There we go.
Suspectorated. All right.
I can see.
Dim light
That is
vision.
adorable, Thomas. Did you make that?
Make what?
The statue.
I did not draw it myself. That's what you're asking. But yes, it is from a pack by a creator, I believe, called Yui Kami, who makes really fun little tokens both for building maps and enemies and all that kind of stuff. I like to use them.
I can see why. It is great.
Yep. All right.
So,
Who is setting up? All right. So
Manawanui will light a torch.
Morgrim,
piggybacking on Mulgrim.
Morgrim, because of the slight headache from the hangover, has only now realized in the lighting of their torch that they actually need light, and will pull out from his bag and unwrap the light gem that he has and insert it into its slot in his helmet.
Okay, so you also have, and that's equivalent of a torch, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Ip, you can see now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And for you. And then we have Mono and Nui who is casting. You're just lighting up a torch.
That is correct.
All right. Remember to keep track of torch inventory and all that fun stuff. It's taking up one of your hands, blah, blah, blah.
Do I have control of Bandit? It won't let me move them.
Let me see. Who is Bandit controlled by? Yeah, they are controlled by Bandit. Let me check the tree here, because I probably did not make Bandit's character controllable by you. Can't be controlled by. And there we go. Save changes. All right. Can you control Bandit now?
Yeah.
All right. And are you able to move yourself?
Yes.
Sweet.
I've stacked all of us on Mulgrim because I am piggybacking.
Piggybacking,
well-
you're shoulder backing.
Don't do that, because when you are on top of someone else's token, they can no longer control their own token.
All right.
All right, cool. So, anyone else lighting anything up?
A pipe? No, I'm just kidding.
Doesn't everybody else's light work for me or no?
It should. Make sure you are all the way in the bottom of the map, fairly central. Yeah, where I am currently pinging.
Corner, or
I see.
Your token does have vision, so you should be able to see using other people's light.
Yes, I can.
All right, cool. Is everyone settled lighting-wise? And everyone can see?
Yeah.
Don't mark
Yes.
Bandit as dead.
What?
Okay,
Oh,
so
no.
you arrive before the intimidating structure of the pyramid, towering over your heads, occasionally backlit by strikes of lightning. You can see you are now at the lowest level, which you had noticed is made of a similar dark gray stone as the is prominent on the island around. But now, as you are closer, and especially as you were hiking when there was still some daylight, the layers were even more evident. As the next layer up is a reddish sandstone, then a gray and white with a mottled green appearance, and then finally tipped with a glassy black structure. And directly in front of the pyramid are a couple of imposing statues of warriors. The one with a torch on it does not actually have a torch on it. But one of them on the right seems to be damaged. There is a massive set of double doors at the entrance directly in front of you. You should be able to see they added something new. They actually have doors now when you are setting up the lighting and stuff for the game. So I am now using those. You should be able to see a small door icon directly in front of you. Don't open it without asking.
Sorry.
And you also, to the right, see a large crack in the structure where there seems to be a pile of rubble. And Morgrim, at some point, likely would have informed you about that.
basically Morgrim. So they got surrounded by skeletons and they couldn't get back out through the door. So Morgrim blew his way out aside of the pyramid with gunpowder. So is that the end of the description, Thomas?
Yeah, unless you guys are searching for any other detail, I'm happy to provide.
Morgrim's gonna take a closer look at the hole, just to see if, like, he's gonna move. Give me a second. Like, over by this side of the statue and look in the hole and see if he can, like, obviously see any undead in it.
All right. You do not, in fact, see any undead, but what you do notably notice are a number of rather strange-looking myconoid-like creatures.
Before anything else happens, Mono Inui's going to cast False Life on herself.
All right. Give yourself those extra
And I
hit
know
points.
I've asked this before. What's my ability modifier?
For false life?
Yes. It says let me tell you. Your 6 equal to +6 your spellcasting modifier.
I
Your
believe
spellcasting ability modifier.
that's going to be whatever stat determines your spellcasting, which in your case is intelligence.
Sweet.
So a
+4.
+4.
+6, so 10.
All right, give yourself those temporary hit points.
So, Morgrim, seeing that there's not any undead, but there is things in there, is going to look over at Phoebe and say, Phoebe, just check the entrance for traps for now and see if you can get a closer look, but don't go in.
Aye, aye, so
All right, roll me perception. Actually, no, I roll perception when it comes to trap checks. So your perception is a +9.
yeah. When I rolled, I would have gotten a 14.
Now you're not going to know what you get. All right, so how are you checking for traps? Are you just staring at it from 15 feet away or wherever you are?
I walk up to the entrance, but mainly
So
I'm
probably
just looking at
you
it.
probably
I know how to find traps.
So Faye, do you want to be sneaking up to the entrance?
All right, so you're checking the crack in the wall?
Yeah, we're checking for traps around the hall.
All right, I assumed when he meant entrance, he meant the doors.
I
can
should
check
have
for traps
specified
at
the
the
crack.
door.
Did he?
Yeah, I meant checking at the crack.
All right. So you sneak up there and kind of look around, and as far as you can tell from here, there are no traps around that entrance. And we've been going for about 2 hours, so people ready to wrap up here for the evening?
Yes, I didn't take a nap today. I need to go to bed.
Absolutely. All
This
right.
seems like a good checkpoint.
Yeah, you finally made it to the pyramid, so.
Yay! And there was much rejoicing.
Indeed. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up. And as always, what has Morgrim learned?
Morgrim has learned that he should not be as confident in his fortitude as he thought because the dice on Hero Lab hate him.
Da da da. Yeah, anytime you roll a 20, there's a 5% chance it's going to be a nat 1. So no matter how good you are, you can always fail.
For me, it's just I kept suspiciously rolling 3s.
Da da da.
You just need physical dice.
Yeah. I have plenty. You could have borrowed them. There's like an entire jar full of D20s that's sitting like 5 feet away from you, maybe.
Yeah, also, I think if I reach into my bag, I have, the set of fancy metal dice you bought me, I think, for a birthday forever ago.
Yeah. So You
yeah,
have
with a
no
note
one.
telling you to kill David's kill, Aaron's kill.
So you have no one but yourself to blame, unfortunately. All right, Phoebe, what have you learned?
That Neville teach a small criddle how to play five-finger fillet.
Yeah, even though you didn't do it directly.
Also, apparently, unicorns can play that game.
Well, Ip and Burnbright are both unicorns, but they spend a lot of time in their human forms.
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
think
I
you
didn't
guys know
realize
that
they
we're
had human
unicorns.
forms.
Yeah, you guys wouldn't even realize at this point that they're unicorns, because especially like
I didn't know that they could transform into humans.
yeah, no, Ip could have at some point during the journey turned into a unicorn, but generally when they're like navigating cities and stuff, and especially when they're on the boat, which is not designed for, you know, a horse to be able to navigate it easily, they mostly are in human form.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, so what about Ip? What has he learned?
Ip learned that Gur is apparently a ninja.
You know, mostly just because he's a robot, he can sit perfectly still for, well, as long as he can actually convince himself to, which usually is not very long. All right.
And also that Akalupu and Mako are extremely strong drinkers.
Oh, yeah. Even though that was probably a surprise to them also. They haven't had a huge number of opportunities to indulge to that degree. Even though there certainly were some hints during the Harvest Festival before, you know, the Faceless Queen and all of that stuff happened. Though none of you are quite certain whether or not that that was something that actually happened, or maybe just a bad batch of mead. All right. Speaking of Mako, what has she learned?
That alcohol feels good the night of, but sometimes it's not your friend the morning after.
Oh, yeah. That certainly is, unfortunately, true. All right. Manawanui, what has she learned?
Monarny decides that has learned that she rather enjoys a good pipe full of tobacco or
Yep.
pipe weed. That's what
Yeah.
we're calling it.
Whatever passes for pipe weed on this island.
Exactly.
No, Corvin spent plenty of time extolling the virtues of a proper pipe of old Toby.
Whetting her appetite. Well, he said it used to grow here, so.
No, he said he used to be able to get it here back when people could actually come to the island and then leave again because there was trade happening.
Yes. Well, either way, Monoanui has now found herself craving some good old pipe weed and something that she's never tasted.
You've picked up a new habit. All right, and next up, Akalupu. What has he learned?
Akalupu learned that he should just follow his instincts and plow right ahead because it works out well for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you're the only one without a hangover, so literally zero consequences to that.
Right?
Of course, who knows what you missed when you were peeing off that cliff? Maybe nothing. Maybe something major.
Right? Who knows? Not Akalupu.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining me. I hope you all had a great game. I know I did. And I will catch you all at the next one. Bye.
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 Bye.